After a 2-year break, school report cards in Wisconsin are back. As we first reported last week, the state made changes to the original report card and released the reports and their new grading formula a few days ago. The report cards rank school districts and individual schools throughout the entire state. News 8's Lisa Klein is here now with an in-depth look at the changes made and how some districts are impacted.
The school report cards are intended to hold our school districts accountable. They were first introduced in 2011, but the last state budget asked for changes to be made in the reports. So the Department of Public Instruction stopped issuing report cards in 2014 while they made adjustments to how they grade schools. And while some school districts feel the state has done a good job coming up with a new grading formula, La Crosse school officials have concerns about how it impacts some of their high-poverty schools. Categorizing words to find a common theme is the focus of this lesson at Northwoods International School in La Crosse.
There's sort of a little trick to this.
There is also a bit of a trick to figuring out how to fairly categorize a school district's performance. That is what the Wisconsin Department of Public Instruction has done with the new state report cards.
It's a huge project that the state has taken on to mitigate factors that school districts, educators, boards of education have said for years that you can't compare a school that has a different demographic with another school.
This year, the new state report cards have created a weighted formula, which allows schools with higher poverty rates to be scored differently.
Now, student achievement and student growth, depending on free and reduced lunch status, a different weighting is applied based on that.
The formula assumes schools with a high poverty rate will have students who don't perform as well on the annual standardized test. Therefore, schools with high poverty and high achievement are negatively impacted.
In La Crosse, we perform above the state average on the test. However, we have a higher free and reduced population than many of our surrounding areas.
This is how the calculator works. Schools with a free and reduced lunch rate from 35 to 65% will have a higher percentage of their score, based on a sliding scale, coming from student growth, and less of their score will come from student achievement. Student growth is measured when you compare student performance on one test from one school year to the next. Student achievement is based on how a school district's students performed on one test.
And there are some unintended consequences that are coming out.
So we actually saw schools that generally do well on state report cards not do as well because their achievement wasn't counted the same. So that's a difficult pill to swallow.
The La Crosse School District received 2 out of 5 stars on the new school report card.
We will fall in the category of meets few expectations.
However, several of the district's schools do meet or exceed expectations, but there are a couple of schools with high poverty rates that have been given lower scores, and the district feels the new weighted formula is part of the reason.
So some of our schools in La Crosse, we have free and reduced populations of 80%. The way the formula works, 90% of our achievement data, of how we're evaluated, comes from growth, and only 10% comes from actual achievement.
Lahaki says spreading out the weighted formula to account for schools that have a free and reduced lunch rate higher than 65% may be more fair.
I would like to see it not cut at 65%. 65% free and reduced lunch population compared to an 80% free and reduced population is a great deal in the dynamics of a school.
3, 6, 9.
Whether or not an adjustment is made to the new weighted formula, Lahaki says it's important to look beyond the report card.
Look at your individual school in the great people that work with your children. There are great things going on that aren't reflected by a single calculation.
So what's 8 times 3? Okay, so you thought you were here for
There is so much data on these report cards beyond the overall score. In fact, you can find the statistics that we're talking about today, the poverty on this report card. And some people might be surprised to know that almost 1 in 2 children in the La Crosse School District live in poverty. Here's a breakdown of the free and reduced lunch rate in each of the 5 school districts in La Crosse County and how the districts scored on the report card.
That is just hard to imagine. Almost 1 in 2 in La Crosse School District
Yeah.
living in poverty. Wow. If people want to see their individual school and how well it did or how bad it did, how can they do that?
The website that you see on your screen here, there you can do lots of research on school districts from throughout the state. It'll give you all types of information, a lot of detailed information, so really take some time and take a look at where your school might be achieving.
Just goes to show that those stars might not always tell the whole story.
Exactly.
Okay, thanks, Lisa.